Hi, friends. It's Live Day. So today we're going to be talking about tarot. I love tarot. Tarot is my first love. Just don't tell my husband that because he might feel a certain way about that. But anyhow, so tarot is about 600 years old and it started in Italy. There is evidence that in the 1400s, there were some people already using playing cards for divination purposes, but it was not yet. The first tarot was actually called tarocchi, and it was something like playing bridges. And it was all about the major arcana. Those first few decks had no real order, and the decks were all different. It took a while to get them really organized. Then some people started to take the major arcana, which is also called the trump cards, and put them on top of regular playing cards, which started to look a little bit more like the tarot that we use today. Around 1507 in Marseille, France, it became the center of production of tarot cards. Some of you may be familiar with with some tarot decks called Tarot de Marseille. This is when the Roman numerals started to appear in the major arcana. About 200 years later, things started to get a little bit more organized and consistent among different decks. People came into an agreement into which order the trump cards should be on. That's when we start to see the major arcana in the same order. In the 18 and 1900s, some occultists discovered tarot and realized that there was some magic to the cards and started using them as tools of divination. In 1781, a gentleman called Antoine Court de Gobelin, which was not his real name, he was a scam artist, started to tell people that tarot was this mystical set of cards that came from the Egyptians and that it was actually called the Book of Life. And although his claims were not true, this put tarot in the center stage, and everyone became fascinated with tarot. Now, during the Victorian age, people became a little bit more conservative and divination was not very well taken. So tarot took a deep dive. People still use the cards, but they kept them hidden. Moving forward to 1909, a gentleman called Arthur Edward White hired a very good artist called Pamela Colman Smith to design a new tarot deck called the Rider White. Does that sound familiar? Of course it does. Rider was the name of the publisher, and White was the author. Some people nowadays in modern times call this deck White Smith deck because people truly believe that the designer Pamela Colman Smith was the true genius behind the deck. This became more evident with the passing of time because there were instances where White seemed not to understand the symbology of his own deck and was making mistakes when talking about one card, but then describing another. There's a fun fact. The strength card used to be the number 11. The strength card is now the number 8. And the justice card is the number 11. The reason for behind this swap can be attributed to White's esoteric symbolic interpretation of tarot. White believed that the strength card depicted by a woman taming a lion embodied the concept of inner strength and courage, while the justice card depicted by a woman holding scales symbolizes fairness and balance. By swiping the cards, White emphasized the importance of inner strength as a foundation for justice and fairness in the world. This deck, the Rider White, has become in modern days the standard of tarot, and it's still very influential in many other tarot decks. But as people became more sensitive, especially to the imagery, we have started to move away from the very harsh imagery from the original deck. Think about it. 600 years ago, things were a little bit tougher than now. And with a higher level of illiteracy, then it may have been necessary to see a man face down on the floor on a pool of blood with 10 swords on his back to understand the situation is dead. It's not kind of dead, it's not sort of dead, it's dead. Over, done with. Nowadays, people don't want to see that. And some people have even become afraid of tarot. And there's no need for that. Tarot is not scary. So as images have changed, it has been important for true tarot enthusiasts to not to water down the messages that tarot has to offer. So it has been important that while you can use your imagery, that you want the essence of the card to remain. Tarot has a very established structure. If you change the structure, it's not tarot. You can call your deck whatever you want, but in my opinion, it's not tarot. I think of the magic of tarot is in the structure. You can be creative, and people are. Nowadays, you find angels and kittens and movie and TV characters, you name it, all kinds of stuff. But for your deck to be tarot, it has to follow the structure. So Yari, what's the structure? I'm so happy you asked. There are 78 cards in the deck. There are 22 major arcana, the trump cards. Then the peep cards are those cards from 1 through 10. And then the court cards, the pages, the knights, the queens, and the kings. And then the 4 suits representing fire, water, air, and earth, originally represented by wands, cups, swords, and coins or pentacles. Although now creators represent the same elements in different ways, which is okay, as long as you keep the elements consistent throughout the deck, and you keep the 4 elements. Because if all the decks had different elements, it will be impossible to read. You would have to learn every specific deck on its own. Someone like myself that owns more than 100 decks, you can see them right there. All those tarot and oracle decks. Yeah, a lot. I know. It's a problem. Well, not really. It will be a massive endeavor. It will be maddening trying to learn to read each one of those different decks. So learning tarot on its own can be very overwhelming. You need to learn 78 different meanings. Then you have to add the reversals. If you're going to use them, some people don't use the reversals, and then they don't really mean just the reverse. Question and how that changes and impacts the meaning of the card. For example, coins or pentacles are earth energy, is everything tangible. In a work reading, it may mean money. But in a love reading, it may mean something or somebody that is valuable to you. then the position of the card in your spread changes the meaning of a card. And then the cards around it also impact. Then you have to throw in your intuition, and it gets complicated, like relationships, complicated. But I am all about being efficient. I'm a Virgo, can't help it. So I'm about working smarter, not harder. When I teach tarot, I start with the basics. You need to learn the 4 elements so you know what you're talking about. Wands are fire, desire, cups are water, feelings and emotions, swords are air, thoughts and words, and coins are earth, everything tangible and valuable to you, including, but not necessarily money. So what I do is I use numerology, the numerology of tarot, to teach how to learn tarot in an easier way. And this is a very simple and very basic introduction. So it's so much easier to learn the meaning of 1 through 10 than 78 cards, you know? So you can start there. So we're gonna in when I teach, I go through all the 78, but it's so much easier to just start learning that, so you can start reading right away. Okay. Now it's important to know that numerology is a science, and tarot numerology is different from the science, and it's also different from angel numbers. There's gonna be some overlapping, but in general, they're different. Okay. So if you're interested in numerology or angel numbers, we can talk about that in a different life. All right. Because that's a whole nother thing. Okay. So tarot numerology ones are all about new self and new beginnings. And these are the peep cards. Those are the ones from 1 to 10. Okay. Not the major arcana. Ones are all about the self and new beginnings. Twos are choices. Threes, community and creation. Four, stability or rigidity. I try to think about the 4 legs on a table or on a chair, which gives it its stability. 4. 5, conflict, difficulties, and losses. 6, generosity and harmony. 7, reflection and assessment. 8 are action and accomplishments. 9, mastery. 10s are endings, completions, and renewals, right? Because everything that ends has a new beginning. So it's endings, completion, and renewals, something new coming in. Now, the court cards. Pages are children or new energy, and they are messengers. Knights are young people, but adults. They're action and movement. Queens are nurturing energy. Queens are like the moms, the mothers of tarot. They take care of things and people. And the kings are the leaders. They're the ones that take responsibility for things, okay? Now, another thing that I like to use is the colors, is the chakra colors. So something that helps me reading tarot and oracle are the colors of the chakras, especially when I'm looking at a card and a color kind of jumps at me, telling me that there is a message that I need to be paying attention to. So red is the color, is for the root chakra, and has everything to do with the basics, your physical identity, stability, grounding, inner child, home, finances, and basic needs. Orange for the sacral chakra, and it has to do with sexuality, pleasure, creativity, and self-worth. Yellow is for the soul. It's talking about self-esteem, confidence, personal power, and socialization. In tarot specifically, all yellow cards signify the sun, which is happiness and fulfillment. So all yellow cards are positive cards. Green is for the heart, it's love and compassion. Blue is for the throat chakra, and it's all about communication, with communication in all kinds of ways, not just spoken communication, email, text, all kinds of communication, okay? Indigo is for the third eye, is your intuition and imagination. And purple is for the crown, which is awareness, intelligence, alignment, and where the spiritual communication happens. I also frequently talk about the universal chakra or star chakra that is on top of your crown, about 8 feet on top of your head, and is multicolor like a rainbow. And about the earth chakra, which is underneath your feet. It's represented by a brown color, and it's your connection with Gaia. Okay. Now, before we move into the major arcana, I am indeed letting you know that I am indeed using a Rider-Waite deck for this live. And if you want to learn tarot, I encourage you, I really do encourage you to purchase a Rider-Waite deck to learn tarot, because the meanings of the cards are based on this deck, okay? On this original deck. So when you learn the cards, and you can use whatever deck, but you know, but it's easier to learn it with this. Like when I read, I use a combination of oracle and tarot cards when doing a reading. But when I was learning, I could and I still do, I visualize the card of this deck in my head, and reminds me of the meaning of the actual card as of this deck, which is the original deck, okay? So that helped me remember the meaning of the card. Of course, you do whatever you think is best for you, but that's my recommendation, okay? Now, the major arcana. The major arcana tells the story, and people call it the fool's journey or the hero's journey. But I see a great resemblance to our own journey from childhood to adolescence, and looking for independence and so on and so forth. But I talk about that more in class when I'm actually teaching tarot. But it would be advisable to you, if you're learning tarot, to learn the major arcana by heart. You can use the numerology that I already talked about, but if you really want to learn tarot, learn the numerology and then learn the major arcana by heart. The rest of the cards you will learn by practice, but make an effort to learn the major arcana, and learn the numbers that each card represents, okay? Because and you can ask your friends and family to quiz you on the numbers. And this is going to be important because when you're using oracle cards, the numbers are going to point you to a major arcana card, which will only enrich your reading. So if you have an oracle card that is at number 10, that's the Wheel of Fortune. And then you can incorporate the meaning of the Wheel of Fortune in that oracle card that you're reading. So it's only going to enrich your reading, okay? So the major arcana, the Fool's Journey. It starts with a number 0, which is the Fool. And he is like a child and has this sort of unbridled enthusiasm for life and doesn't have any doubts about what he wants to do. He just does it. He's not thinking about later what he's going to, if he's going to get hungry or cold. He thinks that he has everything in his little pouch that he needs, okay? And it's a yellow card. Remember, all yellow cards are positive in tarot, all right? Now, number 1 is the Magician. We call him the great manifester because he has every single tool on his table, he has the wand, the cup, the sword, and the coin, right? So you can say that this person has all the tools or all the knowledge necessary to complete a task or to make a choice. The high priestess, she is very intuitive because she's very close to spirit. She's the counterpart of the Hierophant. There's no ceiling on top because there's no limit to what she can do. She is mysterious, sensual, and full of knowledge. She is the Hierophant counterpart. The Empress. She is the divine feminine. She is the Emperor counterpart. She's pregnant. So she is creativity, sexual power, abundance, nurturing, motherhood. She's the creator. She's Mother Earth. Okay. She often represents feminine energy and fertility and the power of nature. Also remember that the Empress is all the queens into one. So also, if you or your seeder are in a twin flame journey, the Empress is the divine feminine. All right. The Emperor is number 4. This is divine masculine and the counterpart of the Empress. He is the king of all the kings. He's the leader. The Emperor represents a powerful leader who demands respect and authority, status, power, recognition. Like the Empress, he's the king of all the kings. He has all the qualities of all the kings. He's very stable. He's a little bit or a lot rigid. Again, if you or your seeder are part of a twin flame journey, the Emperor is the masculine energy. Now, this is a side note, but it's important to know that in tarot, we don't talk about gender. We talk about energy. Masculine energy is the decision maker, is the person that takes risk, more aggressive, not necessarily in a negative way. Masculine energy is often associated with assertiveness and logic and strength and independence. In contrast, feminine energy is characterized by nurturing, intuition, empathy, and collaboration. These energies complement each other, and their balance is crucial for personal development and fulfilling relationships. We all have both, but we lean more towards one. Okay? For example, I am female and I have more feminine energy than masculine energy. But as owner, as such, I have to use a lot of my masculine energy making business and financial choices, and to keep me focused on my daily tasks that need to be performed daily on a daily basis to keep a business running. At the same time, I have to find balance when talking to people because I want to be nurturing, but keeping in mind that I am in fact running a business and I need to make a living. So you see, it's a balancing act for all of us. A male person who is very feminine is nurturing and is able to express his emotions with ease. My husband is like that. So it has nothing to do with a person's sexual preference, okay? For example, in gay couples, both gays and lesbians, there is one person who leans more to the feminine and the other to the masculine, okay? All right, continue. The Hierophant is number 5. Is traditional institutions, traditional values, conventional conformity, marriage, commitment, religion, beliefs. The Hierophant is the Pope. So whatever beliefs or institution is something that is important to you or your seeder. The Hierophant is the high priestess counterpart. The Lovers. The Lovers card was called the choice card. So especially if your reading is not a love reading, it's talking about choices, or whatever the match is going to be, is going to be a good one. So you might find the perfect job, or the perfect position, or a very good friend, a house, or what have you. Love, soulmate, kindred spirit, perfect unions, partnership, relationship, major choices, romance, desire, sexual connections, your values. It's gonna be an important choice and not to be taken lightly, okay? Or the easiest, road ahead. All right, that's the Lovers. The Chariot is victory, overcoming obstacles, success, ambition, determination, willpower, control, self-discipline, hard work, and focus. The Chariot is a yellow card, so it's always very positive. It always shows movement. The person is moving from a good thing to a better thing, okay? Because he's leaving behind, you see, like a town that looks very prosperous and happy and everything, but he's moving forward, right? So he's going from a good thing to a better thing. The Strength card, number 8. It's inner strength, courage, bravery, confidence, compassion, taming, control, overcoming self-doubt. The Strength card usually refers to inner challenges, overcoming obstacles we face in relation to our own doubts and fears and anxieties. In a general context, this card indicates that you are learning to master your fears and anxieties. So to be courageous and daring. All right. The Hermit, number 9. This is a loner, is a wise person. He has learned some tough lessons and he wants to light for others. He has to start in his lantern, which means healing. The hermit was supposed to have his feet frozen on the ground, but he could easily lower the lantern to defrost his feet, meaning that even a wise person has something to learn and healing to do. The Hermit is a card of introspection and analysis. This is not a time for socializing. The card indicates instead a desire for peace and solitude, okay? It's not time for action. It's time for introspection. Number 10, the Wheel of Fortune. The Wheel of Fortune talked to us about how everything is a cycle. Life is a cycle. The days, the weeks, the months, the seasons, everything is cyclical. We're never static. So if you're having a hard time, this will pass. But also, when you're doing great, you need to maximize your time because this will also come to an end. The best place to be is in the middle, right? In balance, everything in balance. Having a hard time, we need to remember what are the things that we were doing when we were on the top, when we were riding smoothly, so we can mimic we're having a hard time and we feel like we're in the bottom, so we can get out of the funk, right? 11, the Justice card. This relates to karmic justice, legal matters, cause and effect. In general context, justice is showing you that all actions have a reaction, a consequence, a consequence. So look at your present circumstances in that context. How your actions have contributed to where you find yourself today. Are there karmic lessons that you should need to learn from your current situation? Things like that. Okay. The Hangman, number 12. What can you do if you're hanging upside down with your hands tied behind your back? Nothing. Just think, right? But all this thinking has gotten him enlightened. You see how his head is kind of lightening up. So this card is a card of pause. It's a card of being stuck. But the end result is always gonna be positive, okay? Because you reach a level of clarity that you did not have before. Number 13, the Death card. This is my favorite card in tarot. Death does not mean ending. It means transformation, right? When people die, the body dies, but that's not the end of you. Your soul moves on. Your spirit moves on. It changes, it transforms, right? So I love it because I'm always trying to transform and change for the better. Now, this transformation is the kind of transformation that you cannot go back. Okay, it's the chrysalis turning into a butterfly. The butterfly cannot change her mind and go back to chrysalis, right? So never, 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 never predict death. Okay. First of all, it hardly ever happens. And second, predicting death is unethical. So don't do it. When you see this card, don't say somebody's going to die. This is fabulous. Something is changing. And even though sometimes the change is hard, it's going to be for the better, always. All right. 14, the Temperance card. Temperance signifies balance. People say patience, but it's more balance than patience. Peace, patience, moderation. This major arcana shows that you have found your inner calm and have a good perspective on things. It's a sign that that the relationships in your life are harmonious. You have learned to not to allow yourself to be dragged into other people's conflict or to let minor issues knock you off balance. Okay, you see one of her foot is in the water, which means emotions, feelings and emotions, and the other foot is on land. So it's that balance of your emotions with the reality that you're seeing, with the tangible, with the facts, right? So Temperance, balance, is all about balance. The Devil card, number 15. Just like the Death card, the devil doesn't mean the devil. It's not a demon. The Devil card is addiction, is depression, mental health issues, secrecy, obsession, cheating, dependency, bondage, materialism, sexuality, powerlessness, hopelessness, abuse, violence, assault, some kind of toxicity, okay? Now, it's important to know that the number 15, 5 and 1 is number 6, the Lover's card, right? So the same people are in both cards, all right? So if you see the chains that are around their necks are really, really loose, it will be very easy for them to get it out and get out of their situation. So whatever situation that you've gotten yourself into, you just need to take a step back out of the drama that you are going, and then you're going to be able to see how easy it is to get out of the situation altogether. All right. The Tower, number 16. Everybody's scared of the Tower. We need Tower moments in our lives, okay? So there's no need to be afraid of the Tower. This is also change, but in a big way. It's a big shakeup of your life that is happening. While it's happening, it totally sucks. But on the other side is great, okay? The great Michael Beckwith calls it the beautiful destruction. And I love that. It's one of those moments in life that everything goes wrong, but the end result is so much better. Okay, it's divorce, it's getting fired, it's moving out of the country or to a different home. It's a big shakeup. Okay, I usually describe it to my student like is cleaning your closet. You know, when you're going to clean your closet, you want to take everything out, and all of a sudden you have this humongous mess and you're like, oh my God, what have I done? You keep going, and then when you have your pies, you throw away, you keep, you donate, and you do all those things, and you put everything back nice and folded, it's so much better, and you're so happy you did it, right? It's that kind of change. All right. The star number 17. This is a beautiful car. It also talks about balance, since she has one foot in the water, one foot in the land, and she's pouring the water both in land and in the water, right? So remember that water is your feelings and emotions, and earth energy is everything tangible. So it's the difference between your reality and how you feel about things. The star is all about wish fulfillment and healing. It's all about hope, inspiration, creativity, calm, content, renewal, serenity, healing, positivity, all that kind of stuff. The moon. The moon card has so many different meanings, because in one hand is your intuition, but it's also things hidden. Okay, so those things that are there, but the path ahead is not completely clear. Okay, the moon can indicate a time of uncertainty and illusion, when nothing nothing is what it seems. Okay, so be careful on making fast decisions when the moon appears, because you may later realize that you only had half the information yet you needed to make that choice. All right. 19, the sun. The sun is the happiest card in the entire deck. It's positivity, it's freedom, it's fun, success, optimism, vitality, joy, confidence, self-expression, good luck, enthusiasm, everything. Okay. When a sun appears in the upright position, things should go well for you. All right. The Judgment card, number 20. This is one of the most profound and transformative cards in the tarot deck, often linked to spiritual awakening, self-awareness, and life lessons. The Judgment card plays a significant role in various aspects of our lives. Embarking on a journey with the Judgment card can lead to profound insights and revelations, ultimately guiding us towards towards growth and alignment. So when you see this card, when you see coffins in tarot, means life inside of the coffin. Now outside of the coffin is the new life. So again, it's that change, that transformation from the old life to the new life. Okay. And number 21, the World card. And it's all about ending, but with a new beginning. The red is circular, symbolizing the continual cycle of successful completion and new beginnings, because as the woman steps out through the red, she's completing one piece and beginning another. Okay. So you see the lion and the bull and the cherub and the eagle. So similar to the Wheel of Fortune, both the World and the Wheel of Fortune speak to the cyclical nature of life. And all those represents different zodiac signs: Leo, Taurus, Aquarius, and Scorpio. And they are also symbolic of the four elements, the four suites of, tarot, and the four corners of the universe. So this card is a guide to guide you from one phase to the other, to bring in balance and harmony into your journey. All right. Well, this has been a long one. I try not to go past the 30 minutes, but when you're talking tarot, you can talk. Okay. So I hope this was helpful. Let me know in the comments below if you have any questions or if you're interested in learning tarot with me. I love teaching tarot. And I teach how to read the cards, the meaning of the cards, but then I teach you how to read intuitively, which takes you to a whole different level. And we didn't even touch the zodiac signs. And I mean, there's so much going to tarot. So if you're interested, let me know in the DMs or let me know in the comments below if you're interested in learning tarot with me. So remember that I'm gonna post. This has been long and I'm tired of talking. I'm gonna post the video as soon as I have it ready. It's usually a few minutes in the group. If not, I'll put it in YouTube, and this might be a little bit long for TikTok, but usually I put them on TikTok if they're not too long. All right. And with that, I hope I see you next week, Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern time for another live. Bye.